Dr. Ju. We have about 18 minutes, so not a lot of time. But let me just get onto this question of ethics. We are making, well, not we, you are making such advances in science and medicine. At some point, there must already be ethical boundaries. I mean, if I put it in a journalistic phrase, are you worried about designer babies? Dr. Bresciu. I mean, this gets into the territory of eugenics almost.
Excuse me?
This almost gets into the realm of eugenics.
Yes. Well, I mean, there are really several tiers to be considered because, so yes, we are very much worried. And I believe that we should be worried. I mean, as soon as you start, even, see, again, you have, for example, technologies such as the famous CRISPR-Cas technology, which is very popular and where you have the possibility to have, say, reprogrammation of some embryonic cells. These are some fundamental questions that we must address. That's one point. But from what I presented, we already have the major concern of, for me, this is a key issue on how are we going to secure all this data and the access to this data. And this is a general question, obviously, nothing new, nothing special to the Institut Pasteur or to other institutes. But now that it comes to the, now that we have really easier way to generate this data, to transmit this data, and we know that we must transmit this data, I believe that we have really to sit with several parts of the society and really decide how we want to determine. For example, some data should remain the property of the individual. Some data might be the property of the state. Some data might be shared. So now the good point is that my understanding, although I'm not an expert, is that you have technologies which should allow to do so. So this is a general answer because I believe that we are at the dawn of this. But yes, it's a very important concern.
Let me put almost the same question to Sheikh Mohammed. I mean, in Britain, for example, there is quite a serious body, I can't remember the name of it, to deal with ethical issues on medicine, especially medical research. And I wonder if Qatar has the same thing.
Yes, thank you for the question. It's very important and always debatable in our region about the ethical, and usually sometimes our region is conservative. Things doesn't start usually in our region. It needs more open region to start the bold decisions. But in Qatar, we have a research committee and we have a Qatar National Research Fund that take care about every research, the human rights and the ethics before we start anything. This is something that it's known in Qatar. Nobody can do something against ethics and the humans in Qatar as there's signature before you do that. But what I'm saying about discussing about the ethics of these issues, always we are worried from the future. But the future always give us good things too, you know, because we were worried about the internet, about our privacy. Okay, it's hurting us, but it gives us a big value. We are worried about IVF. Some people were saying forbidding IVF. Now it's a big value for many people to keep living and make them more happy. So, of course, you can use IVF in the wrong way, like you can use a knife, a gun, many other things. You know, you can use the internet in the wrong things too. But things are, as a whole, moving the world to the future of humanity and giving them and many things that we couldn't believe that they can achieve. I don't think anyone can stop the wheel from going on, but we need always to work only on directing it to the right decisions together. Thank you.
Madam Ju, really the same question. I mean, the genome is no longer a mystery. Now, you're talking about the Internet of Life. Where do we go eventually? I mean, if you are going faster than Moore's law, we are really into something absolutely unknown territory, which may or may not be terrifying. It may be wonderful.
Every kind of technology is a double-sided sword, right? But the Human Genome Project actually is start to digitalize life. It's make the ATCG it's translated the ATCG to 1010. So life is digital. 20 years before, nobody believed that, but now it's time. So I think I would like to give a comment for you for the geo editing. In this year, children in United States cured thalassemia completely with the gene editing. So you see, if we're talking about ethics, but I think ethics is a kind of production relationship. It's should decide is a productivity, right? So I think 1,000 years before, the marriage cannot happen outside the one tribe, but now it's it's forbidden to marry with 3 generations, right? Yeah. So that's a good example for the ethic need to be changed.
Yeah.
So I think that's it's good time, because health and longevity is everybody's dream. We love innovation, but innovation for what, right? So I think it's a time to work on disease, to reduce disease, and collaborate with Qatar and other Middle East country. So I believe it. I think it's much better than industrial time.
Okay, excellent. Any questions, please, from the audience? If you have any burning issue that you'd like to bring up, if you want to design your own population, let me, in that case, turn to Dr. Bresciu. You used the phrase personalized medicine. Doesn't that, in the end, mean that the wealthy will get the medicine they need and the poor will not, because the pharmaceutical companies, if the medicine is personalized, then presumably the market will be smaller, and therefore the price will be higher.
This is also an interesting question. For this, I'm not so anxious, because you see, before taking the position of president at Pasteur, I was the vice president of a company involved in in vitro diagnostics. And we had this discussion between diagnostics and pharma. In principle, the pharma would not like to reduce the market because you decrease the number of patients susceptible to receive the drugs. And so it is true that then there might be a tendency to have an increase in the price. But on the other hand, you really target those patients who need the drug. And there is a very important point when you speak of precision medicine, which is also to determine those who will have side effects. So you see, in the balance, you have really to take in account all the results. I mean, that's my first part of the question. It's not only about determining the efficacy, but also the tolerance. And so this is really worth taking in charge by the health systems, the cost. The second point is that the progress in point of care, in rapid diagnostic tests, the capacity to have really everywhere in the world communication about the results will allow many more patients to benefit of this personalized medicine. For me, the main problem of precision medicine or personalized medicine, whatever, are really the quality of the results which are generated. You see, when you have Beijing Genome Institute, you know you have reproducible results. But we will have worldwide a bulk of information. And if they are not correct, then you come to a precision medicine which is absolutely imprecise.
A question from the audience? I can't see anyone. In that case, I'm going to ask one last question, really to, I think, Sheikh Mohammed, but actually, no, all of you. We talk here of governance, and the implication is that this is collaboration between states on a global level. But if you look at the headlines, then I think one might argue that the most effective body in medicine for the masses at the moment is perhaps the Gates Foundation or the Clinton Global Initiative. Is this a failure of governments, that the space is actually being taken by private individuals?
You touch a very important thing that sometimes we are not happy about, is that if you check about the biggest and the oldest institute in the world is WHO, World Health Organization.
Which we haven't mentioned once so far.
Yes, and the challenge that World Health Organization have made a big value through history, and they are aligning the efforts between countries and make them have the chance to meet every year in Geneva to discuss the issues. But surprisingly that, the budget of World Health Organization is only 4 billion for maybe 10 years, where any Ministry of Health in the world, maybe, most of them have more than 4 billion. Some of them have a trillion, some of them have trillions, they have $300 billion, and not sharing to put some money in governance more in WHO. And we have a failure that happened like Ebola. They didn't want to pay for Ebola enough, and all of a sudden they are ready to pay billions for Ebola. If you started in the prevention early stage, you will not go there. But they were not hearing what is the threats are happening, like in Ebola. So Bill Gates' organization is now worked alone, but it couldn't work alone. It worked with WHO again. There is Rockefeller, there is Clinton Foundation. Many of them, but what happened between these people, they focus on some issues, so they success, but they don't work comprehensively. So what we are missing, we are having successful story in one subject, but we are losing the time to put more seeds in the ground and see the trees growing up. So we want to be more smart in the future, be comprehensive, and scale the work for different types of subjects to prevent and treat in health. This is what we call the real innovation that started in the 20th century. And we want to keep this in the 21st century in a more smarter way by arranging our goals together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's fascinating. You have 24 seconds and counting down to agree or disagree. Dr. Brescio, Madam Zhu.
Well, I agree basically. Bill and Melinda Gates are extraordinary people when you discuss with them. They have done a fantastic job. We really have to recognize. But on the principle, if we speak of governance, this is a problem.
Gene is the code of life, the language of life. The nature, maybe the God told us the language. So we should use that. That's my dream.